Alrighty, so we recently did an account showcase, and one of the things that people wanted to know, as per request, was about all of my gear sets. But because that is a bit of an undertaking, there's a lot of characters in this game nowadays, and there's multiples of characters and blah blah blah. I just wanted to kind of do it in a separate video because I figured it would take up, a lot of time in, the main showcase that I was doing for my account. So let's go over. I think what I'll do is go for each character, kind of show you the equipment sets that I have on. If you're unaware, I've talked about it in the last video, and I've talked about it in a couple of videos, but normally the first 5 characters in my box, which I have it sorted by heroes and ascending, which makes it to where all of my Meliodases are up front, and then, it goes to Diane, Bond, King, Gowther, Merlin, and then for some reason the Escanor is not there. He's like way further down the list for whatever reason. But either way, the first couple of characters that I have in my box, I just use as sort of characters to put gear on and sort of build, so that way when a new character comes out, I can just literally slot that gear straight over to the new character, and you are the equipment whenever I need to. So if you can see, the first 4 sets that I have is an attack crit set, HP defense, attack crit, HP defense. Those are just the 4 sets that I have on hand that I sort of work on in my free time, because most of the time in this game, unless it's a very niche character like Mark II Valenti or regular Valenti, or certain characters just require weird kind of sets. Like a lot of the people who run Light Elizabeth, for example, use her on HP crit damage, which is a bit odd considering that most of the time if you're going HP, you normally go defense, so that way you go maximum CC. Or if you're going for attack, nowadays it used to be a lot of attack defense sets, but most of the time nowadays, if you're going to be running an attack set, you're going to go crit damage, so that way you can get the most damage out of your sets. Because if you crit, you want it to do, more damage, of course. So, those are the 4 sets that I have. As you can see, Lost Vein has just a bunch of weird stuff on. So if I go to just Meliodas in general, and I go to his equipment and then do exchange equipment, I have 5 different UR gear sets for Meliodas, which seems really excessive, and it definitely is. I don't recommend you build a whole lot of sets for a single character if you don't have to. Realistically, I could have just went with an attack crit set, an attack crit damage set and an HP defense set, and I would have been pretty much good to go, and I wouldn't have even needed to build another Meliodas set pretty much ever, because if you make sure that your middle 2 pieces are the same on all of your sets, which I try to do nowadays, so my defense pieces are always the middle 2 pieces, and then my crit damage pieces are always the middle 2 pieces on any of my more modern sets, which I've been doing this for, I would say, around 2 years at this point. So unless it's a really old set, for example, my Blue Lost Vein, for example, does not have a set where both middle pieces are the right ones, because this was the original set that I built for Meliodas, which was, as you can see, an attack defense set. So this is just a really old school set for me. I do have max 15% gear on all of this because, like I said, this was the very first set I ever built. So I used a lot of hammers on it originally because I used a lot of, Meliodas characters. I originally used the blue Pierce Demon Meliodas back in the day quite a bit on an HP or on attack defense, and then I'm pretty sure I swapped it over to assault mode, and it went for Lost Vein and then assault mode, and then a lot of different Meliodases have used this. I just keep it on this one now because I use this one for farming. So yeah, normal, unless I say otherwise, it's normally going to be just regular substats. So the top 2 pieces are normally going to always be attack, middle 2 pieces are always going to be defense, bottom 2 pieces are always going to be HP. That's just the way that most characters in the game are going to be built. But for example, I want to say he probably has this set on right now. I did make a gear set for Meliodas that has pierce rate rolls on my top 2 pieces, because it's always like a weird meme that comes out. Like a lot of the Meliodases, for whatever reason, have pierce cards. So this blue demon Meliodas originally was like the OG pierce unit, and then I don't think, no, assault mode didn't have one, but Crater Meliodas has a pierce card, and the new Purgatory Meliodas, as of the time recording this, also has a card that doubles pierce rate. I think it doesn't triple pierce rate like a normal pierce card would, but I'm pretty sure it doubles pierce rate, and he also gets decent pierce increases, if I'm not mistaken, from some of his allies. So I did make like a meme sort of pierce rate set just for just for fun. It was literally just, it was like a down week. I already had the equipment sort of built up, didn't have to worry about it at all. I just had the extra resources, so I went ahead and made it. But other than that, you can see that I have 2 HP defense sets. Not really even sure why I originally made it. Oh, actually, I'm pretty sure I made an extra HP defense set because I end up using this Demon Meliodas a lot as a link. And if you're going to use him in geared PvP, most of the time on all of your link characters, you want to have HP defense, so that way you can get the most defense related, or like you can get the most HP and like CC out of your link characters. So I just have it on Red Demon Meliodas. I have a regular HP defense set that I have that I'm pretty sure is all max 15% rolls. This is kind of the one that I use on my Purgatory Melee, and I used it for any of the characters that any of the melees that I used HP defense on when it comes to geared PvP. So that's like my actual like PvP set for him, I guess, but realistically it's not gonna go super crazy compared to like regular rolls on these, which I do shoot for pretty high rolls on a lot of my gear. I could somebody commented literally on that account showcase today and was like, wow, like all of your rolls are really good and you're still saying that they're not that great, but I shoot for like 2.5% on each roll when it comes to base stats, or when it comes to substats on the rolls. So I don't know, I could lower it down a little bit more and probably save a lot of anvils that way, but then it ends up taking me more hammers, and you get a lot of anvils compared to hammers, so that's just how it ends up going. So next up we have, that was kind of a long-winded answer for just Meliodas's, by the way. It's already almost 7 minutes in, so I'll try to speed this up, but I just have the most sets for Meliodas in general, because he's quite, he's the main character, so he gets a lot of sets. Diane is a different story. I have 2 sets for Diane: HP defense, attack crit damage. Very standard. I feel like there's a lot of Dianes in the game, but for the most part I use Blessings of Earth Diane. This is the summer one for OG Demon, so I just have an attack crit set damage on her, and then I have an HP defense set for Queen Diane, and I really don't use any of the other Dianes from my understanding. I don't think that any of them are really all that crazy. If I do, it's normally like the regular Ragnarok Diane right here, and I'll just swap the HP defense set over to her whenever I use it, so nothing too crazy there. Bon has a couple of sets, if I'm not mistaken. He might have 3. Okay, yeah, so this one's a bit odd. I originally had an attack defense set on him, but I changed the defense pieces out for there were rare pieces, I'm pretty sure, and then I put resistance rolls on them because there's like a cheese method where you can use the Chad King shield on top of this outlaw blue Bon, and his passive basically makes it to where if he doesn't get hit, you lower the enemy's attack related stats, and it's a gray debuff from like he's a really old unit. I didn't even know they did gray debuffs back then, but he's super good for like just cheesing mechanics. So if you have resistance rolls on him, it makes it really easy for him to just kind of patience attacks and stuff on top of the shield protecting you, of course. So the rest of this, if I'm not mistaken, is regular, except for, of course, Purgatory Bond. Because Purgatory Bond scales off of HP, like his damage scales off of HP instead of attack. For his attack pieces, I have half crit damage, half crit chance, because obviously you're not going to need attack at all. So, yeah. That's pretty much the only reasoning there. And then because I originally took off the defense pieces from the attack crit or the attack defense set that I had built for him, they just went on to a random set for a random bond. So nothing crazy there. I'll probably end up using those sets or those pieces at some point. King has the same thing, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we have an attack crit damage set, HP defense set. I use King quite a bit for a link. Like the skinny King ends up getting used for a link pretty often, so HP defense stays on Red King because I think that is the King that has the most CC out of all 3 of the skinny Kings. So I just have a set on him, and then if I'm going to actually use a King to deal damage, which normally ends up being Chad King in this scenario because all the other Kings are pretty mid, he has the attack crit damage set on, which is it's not all 15%, but the attack pieces are not. Never mind, only 1 piece is. So yeah, pretty standard there. 1 of each set for King. I honestly feel like it's a super safe bet if you just want to go for 1 of each set for all of the sins because they're so relevant. I have two sets for Gowther. I really want to have 3 sets for Gowther, actually. because surprisingly, I end up using Red Gowther, Green Gowther, and Festival Gowther pretty frequently. Maybe not Festival Gowther as much, but whenever Festival Gowther came out, he was one of those weird characters where he ended up getting HP crit damage, and as you can see, I don't have the middle pieces on this correct. So probably because I had just a random set, I don't know, or maybe it was just an older set that I ended up building that I kind of just converted over to Festival Gowther. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know. Every once in a while I get it messed up. But this Gowther set is like the original HP defense set that I have for him. This is just a normal one with normal substat rolls. One of them is just for, I guess, a little bit of extra damage because that's kind of how Festival Gowther works a little bit. But I do want to have another HP defense set on Red Gowther at some point, so I don't have to keep swapping between Red and Green Gowther's gear sets. But that's just more of a convenience thing, not necessarily like a necessity. So that is probably what I'll do at some point. We have Merlin next, where I actually have 3 sets for Merlin, and it's because these Merlins are the ones that I actually typically use the most. I don't necessarily use the small Lolly Merlin too often, but she is like the go-to unit that I use for Grey Demon. So she has an attack crit damage set, and plus because she already has like a built-in damage cap because of her passive, you don't necessarily have to worry about her having HP defense for like tanking, so you can kind of just go like max attack if you want. Makes her power strike card hit really hard. So that's kind of just ideal for her. And then if I need to do attack crit damage for any of the other Merlins, I'll just swap this set onto them. HP defense on the original Green Merlin, because she's just a really good link in a lot of scenarios. And if you want to use her in the backline for her passive, you just want her to have as much CC as possible. And then once again, we have Infinity Merlin, who is one of those weird characters that gets an HP crit damage set because she can deal good damage, but you kind of want her to be on HP so that way she tanks and has a little bit more CC. So kind of a weird one, but it is what it is. I did build one gear set for Gilthunder because he became really popular with the Nalphamy team whenever it came out. So I had never invested into Gilthunder up until that point, but I finally put together a set for him because it was, like I said, if there's ever a series of banners that come out where, like right now specifically, we had like an old school Ludo that just came out, so I already have a gear set built for him. The next banner is supposed to be Magelda, so I figured I had a lot of downtime. I can literally just build sets for characters that I don't have sets for, or build like convenience sets, so extra ones that I just want to have for characters during these sort of stretches where there's no new characters that I need to have like a gear set built for, like ready to go. You know what I mean? So I don't have any gear sets for Gila. Don't have any gear sets for Griamore either. I'll throw on the equipment thing because you can see I have HP defense on all of my box characters that don't have sets, and normally it's just some sort of weird amalgamation of HP defense, and some of the characters have their bottom 2 pieces rolled kind of sort of okay, so that way I can get more CC out of them, because box CC is a really big grind, and that sort of is just how you end up working on those. I don't think I ended up building an actual set for Griamore. I did not. Before I was able to make a full set for this blue Griamore that came out, he was like a really big deal on release, but they ended up nerfing him, so he ended up getting one of these like weird, they gave out these tickets that gave you like max substat and max base stat rolls, so like everything is like completely perfect, but they gave them out for rare and SR gear. So he just got one of these weird gear sets. It's not even like bound to him or anything. I can use it for whoever I want to, but before I made a gear set for him, he got nerfed, so thank God I didn't waste a bunch of materials on that, even though they did reimburse people for that. Jericho has one gear set, and it is an attack crit damage set. It is very old. I used her for a little while in Belmoth Demon, if I'm not mistaken, whenever there was like a lot of people trying to figure out what the best team for that was, so she literally has that. I used to use the red and blue old school SR Jerichos a lot in the back slot in the early days, but not enough to where I actually wanted to build like UR gear for them or anything. So I guess I could potentially, since there's a decent amount of Jerichos, make an HP defense set for her at some point, but don't know how much use I'd get out of it, so I probably won't do that. Helbram is another character that I have one of these weird like 15% sets on, and it's just because I use him very, very nichely in Kelak. which is the guild boss. So I haven't committed an actual set to him yet. Don't use him enough to really want to, so that is completely where my head's at with that one. So Aleone doesn't have a set. I was really tempted to make a set for Twigo, but I normally just end up giving him Ludociel Gear because I have full 15% gear on that. Whenever I end up using him, there was a really big stretch of time where he was really good on the Bond team, of course, but never really wanted to commit because this team already had kind of low CC because you're using a rare character. And yeah, it was just kind of like not worth it in my mind. I don't know. A lot of people probably did build UR gear for him, but I kind of didn't. So all of these like R and SR characters do not have gear sets at all. I think Slater does have a gear set, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe not. No, actually, I don't think he does. I ended up giving him one of these weird 15% roll sets because I do use that red SR Slater for different kinds of event bosses and stuff because he can disable everything except for attack cards, which is very strong. So if you haven't built him up, maybe look into that at some point because he's actually a really nice character to have. All of these characters do not have sets except for when we get to Hendrickson. I have an HP defense set on him because even when he was really popular with OG Small Wings King, I didn't build a set for him, but whenever people figured out that because he's a demon and you can use him with 2 AoEs on Estarossa, I invested into him because that was like a really quick, like, get a whole bunch of darkness stacks out kind of team. And so even with HP defense, 6/6 and everything, he still has atrocious CC. This obviously isn't like a very good gear set, and I say that loosely because a lot of people, say that this isn't bad, but like I said, I normally try to go for like 2.5 on all of these, so most of the time I try to go for 2.5 or higher. So to me, this isn't like a really good set that I have, but still pretty good for a character like this. Who knows, maybe he'll get a relic at some point in the future and it'll make him a lot better, but that's the only gear set that I have for him. There's a lot of Elizabeths in the game, so I think I have 2 sets. Yeah, I have a regular HP defense set because all of the Elizabeths are basically support except for Light Elizabeth, who is a little bit more on the attack side, but you have to build her up. So one of her moves scales off of HP, so you use HP defense on, or HP set on her with crit chance or crit damage. I'm all over the place today. Crit damage sub-slot gear, sub pieces, not. The middle 2 pieces are crit damage gear. You understand what I'm saying. So she just gets a little bit more damage out that way. I probably could use more sets for her, to be honest, but I don't use her enough to where I really even want to build a convenience set for her at this point. Like, I can kind of just swap the HP defense set over to whoever needs it, and I'm pretty much good to go. Nothing for Taizu, of course. But I do have an HP defense set made for Elaine. It's actually on red Elaine at the moment because I use her in the backline for OG Demon. So just to get more CC on the team there. But I normally use it on the blue Golden Wings Elaine in PvP if I'm using her. So it's just a regular HP defense set. Nothing too crazy there. Don't really use Elaine a lot outside of the blue one. And like I said, she's just a backslot unit, so that's fine. I don't think I have an attack crit damage set on Arthur. I do have an attack crit damage set. I did not think that I had this. Oh, actually, you know what this is? I made an HP defense set for Excalibur Arthur because he was on the Bond team. Needed HP defense because the whole team is based around HP, basically, except he doesn't really scale off of HP, so you just want him to tank HP defense. There you go. But I made an attack crit damage set, and you can see half the rolls are crit chance because I was originally using this on the blue SR Arthur, who is an attack, or he is a like crit damage unit, so his passive gives him a lot of crit damage. So just to make him hit a bit harder, I gave him an attack crit damage set. Like way back in the day, he was never even really good, but I thought he was a cool unit, so I gave him that. I could just re-roll some of those substats on that and just have it as a regular HP or a attack crit damage set. But yeah, that's pretty standard stuff. I do have a set for Matrona because she was really helpful on the bird when she originally came out. So HP defense there, so that way she can tank. And I did make a set HP defense for Hawk because I like this Hawk in Oslo a lot. He's a really cool unit. I don't even have costumes for him, but I did make him sort of just like a thrown together HP defense set out of nowhere because I wanted to use him for a video, and every time I do, it never goes well. So I don't know. I snorted a bunch of hopium and copium and all that good stuff and made a set for him. Probably a mistake. We have 3 Rimurus, so I do have an attack crit damage set for Green Rimuru. Always wanted to make an HP defense set for him, never got around to it, so he is lacking a little bit on CC whenever it comes to me using him in PvP, but he does a lot of damage. I can't really complain with just having an attack crit damage set on him. Plus, a lot of the times with the unknown team, you kind of go second anyway. I did make UR Gear for... No, I didn't. Never mind. I thought I made UR Gear for Milim and Benimaru, but I guess I skipped them, unfortunately. Even though they're really fun units, just never really ended up messing around with them enough. Lillia has 2 sets, if I'm not mistaken. No, 3 sets? I didn't know I had 3 sets. I'm finding my own gear. Anyway, the original Blue Mage Lillia, you have to have Pierce rate rolls for her because of the way her passive works. She's completely irrelevant nowadays. She really doesn't help, and she's way too squishy to throw on the field. Completely got shafted with her Holy Relic, so terrible unit now. But I think the only reason I even have this UR'd is because there's like a couple of missions every once in a while where it's like, oh, you are, like engrave equipment. You get extra reward for it. And so if it's a character that I already had SSR gear built for, but I never UR'd it, I just kind of use these sets for those scenarios. So like there's very few sets in my box that don't have a full complete 6 UR gear. But that's the reason why some of these are kind of weird like that. Self-explanatory, I have an attack crit damage set and an HP defense set for her because the Christmas Lillia hits really hard, and yeah, I originally built an attack crit damage set for her, and then it turns out a lot of people were like, hey, HP defense set's kind of better, so I ended up building both. It's fine. It helps me with box CC more than anything, but I have both of the options if I want. So I want to say I have 3 sets for Escanor. I do. I use regular Escanor as a link every once in a while, so I have an HP defense set on him. And then for the one Escanor, I built an attack crit damage set. No, I built an attack crit damage set first, I want to say, and then I ended up building an HP defense set later, so that way I could use him as a link, because I got him 6/6, and he was just a really good link to throw on, just because he has good stats. And then whenever the one Ultimate came out, I ended up building an additional HP defense set because I could use the older Escanors as links as well. So they're all normal substat rolls, nothing weird there. I at one point had a triple defense set on Galland. I don't think I ever had it UR or anything, but I was going to use him as like just a solid link for Tarmiel, the original blue Tarmiel, but I never got around to it. I do have an HP defense set, I want to say, for Melascula. Yeah, it was an HP defense set, but I took the defense set pieces off. And for green Melascula, her passive needs lifesteal, so I gave her lifesteal pieces. I did not give her lifesteal rolls. So the extra defense pieces just went to the other Melascula. Self-explanatory, I guess. Didn't build one for Monspeed, unfortunately. Even though I really like Monspeed, he just never ended up being useful enough for me to make a gear set for. HP defense set on Glocks. Drole is one that I use as a link a lot. So I have a really nice set of... I say really nice, but not even 14% on some of these pieces. But I have an HP defense set on him. I've invested into like all of his costumes and everything, so he actually has really good CC. But he's a good link for some of the Meliodases, and Ludociel is a really big one because you want as much HP on Ludo as possible, and he's an HP link on Ludo, so that helps out quite a bit. I do plan on building up Frowdrin at some point, but I don't have a gear set for him because why would I at the moment? 2 sets for Derieri, I think. HP defense, and I have an attack defense set because originally Red Derieri was kind of old, so I used an attack defense set on her. So pretty standard. It was before crit damage was even meta, so there's that. I originally had an HP defense set on Estarossa. I built an attack crit damage set for him whenever the new Berserk Estarossa came out. And then everybody was just like, hey, you might as well just run HP defense. So kind of a wasted set to have an attack crit damage on him, but I have it if I need it, I guess. So very cool. Zeldris is another one that's very useful in a lot of scenarios. I want to say I just have one of each set. Yeah, I have an HP defense and an attack crit damage set. Festival Zeldris probably ends up getting the most use out of my Zeldrises. So normally my HP defense set is on him, but I probably was messing around with Ominous Nebula Zeldris a little bit, so I probably just swapped the gear sets there. Just normal substat rolls, of course, like I said. Deathpierce does have a gear set because he was like the OG, like best backliner you've ever seen. That's why he's got really weird gear here. His defense pieces are atrocious, actually, but he has fallen off so hard, unfortunately. Hopefully they give him a really nice relic and bring him back into the meta, because this passive used to be like top tier. He was like the go-to unit to have in the backline, but he is dirt now, so very unfortunate. I have Denzel built up, but no gear. I do not have gear for Deldry or Arden, because why would I? I do have a set for Valenti. This is one of those characters that are kind of weird, so I have resistance rolls on the middle pieces. Don't even have them UR geared yet, but it's because her passive deals with resistance, so it lowers the enemy's pierce rate. And then this Valenti uses crit resistance. No, it's crit defense because of her passive. And I want to say this Valenti also... Yeah, you want to build crit resistance gear for her. I'm kind of surprised I don't have a gear set for her like that. I thought I had a set for her originally. Oh, I think I didn't have the middle pieces UR geared, and I'm pretty sure I took them off of her at some point and just used them on different characters because I did an experiment with just crit resistance gear in general. But this Valenti has crit defense rolls because of her passive, of course, so... She's a weird character because of her passive. It is what it is. I think I have one HP defense set for Eastin. I do. Just use her as like a weird unit every once in a while. The Halloween Eastin's kind of a decent backliner, and I've messed around with the other Eastins here and there. Mono is, I want to say one of each set. No, I just have I have an HP crit damage set on her for whatever reason. I don't even think that's like necessarily ideal, but you kind of want her to tank a little bit, and I think I was using it on the green awakened mono. I don't think I've ever even really used the old like monos very much, other than the blue one, because she was a good PvE unit. So that is something, I guess. Don't have a set for Roxy at all, unfortunately, because I've never really gotten any use out of her. I do have an attack crit damage set for Shin, because he was a really good farming unit, and I wanted to invest into him for that. Ended up kind of just not even using him very much nowadays, so that's unfortunate. Don't have one for Camilla because she doesn't get any support. Very sad. I have an HP defense set on Elatte because I used her for the deer for a really long time. That's originally when I built the set for her. And now the blue Elatte is actually good for Nidhogg, so kind of weird how that worked out, and I now have a set for her, so very cool. Bellion, bad. Jenna and Zaneri are like backline units because of their outfit thing where you can get extra cosmetic upgrades, so they have like weird gear. This one's actually, I don't know why I did this, but these are all SR 20 or 15% rolls, so that's cool, I guess. Zaratras has an attack crit damage set, but these middle pieces aren't done yet. Probably will do those at some point. Regular substat rolls. He's actually my go-to, like he's like my favorite unit to use on Belmoth, but because Derieri has that stupid set of cosmetics that gives you an extra like cosmetic box or whatever when you run her, it's just way more worth it to use her, unfortunately. But Zaratras, very cool unit. I have recently built up all of the Attack on Titan units. I'm planning on making a video on that, but I don't have like a specific set for any of them. I don't have any of them UR geared. The only thing I have is a triple crit damage set for him that's all rare, as you can see. And the reason for that is after the Attack on Titan collab came out, people were like, oh, you can use him on Howlix Demon, and he does really well, and I built that set, and he was kind of mid, so never really did anything else with it. I have one of each set for Whose gear is this? Oh, it's Mael's. I have one of each set for Ludo. I have an HP defense set for the original blue Ludo because you want him to out CC everything. Plus, I can use it on Margaret for HP defense CC on the modern goddess team. And then I have an attack crit damage set for that was originally built for Margaret, but I've just kind of got the gear a little out of whack at the moment. Normal substats, of course. Don't have one for Garad. I have 2 sets for Tarmiel, of course, because regular Tarmiel uses, or OG Tarmiel uses triple defense, and then the new Tarmiel I have HP defense on because he's mainly a Link, but you can use him on the field a little bit. He's got pretty good CC. I have 2 sets for Sariel. I'm pretty sure it's one of each. So I have attack crit damage and then an HP defense set. Normally, I just end up using the HP defense set way more because of the way the meta works nowadays, and everything's pretty much HP defense set, unfortunately. But I have the attack crit damage set for originally Sariel, the red Sariel, because he dealt really good damage, and I have it if I need it for like any PvE stuff. KOF, I don't think I have any sets for anyone other than Kyo, and it's just an HP defense set. I originally had an attack crit damage set for him, but like I said, the meta has shifted and everybody runs HP defense on everything. Nanashi has an HP defense set because he is very pog, very champ. He has become insanely useful nowadays. I actually invested into him like over a year ago. I bought all of his cosmetics and built him a UR gear set, so that has really paid off, I would think. The original red-haired Liz's, I have one attack defense set because I use the green one for Belmoth, of course, and then if I need to, I can throw it over to these other 2 if I really want to. I don't think I have any UR gear for Stranger Things characters. I don't. They're bad. And then for the ReZero collab, you can see I have an HP defense set on her because you just want to go tanky as possible and then just rush an ultimate, and she has a secret technique ult, so she just basically kills. Maybe not nowadays, actually. Characters are a lot tankier than they used to be, but it used to be that was how you would run her. Attack crit damage on Rom, or no, this is Rem, and then HP defense on Rom because she's a support character. Nothing on Beatrice because she got super shafted. She's really bad. I think I have one of each. No, I just have an HP defense set at the moment. Wait, do I have 2 sets? No. I just have an HP defense set. It's originally for this stance Chandler because you want him to be really tanky, but because this Chandler is not really good on the field, you just use him in the back line. I can just use HP defense set on him. Sigurd has an attack defense set, actually, which I think is fine. He doesn't really have good crit chance or anything like that, so he's not normally going to crit, and he raises his attack from his passive, so just dealing damage, you get a little bit more CC out of those. It's fine. I don't think it's really that big of a deal. Thonar, this is red Thonar. I have an HP defense set, but the defense pieces... No, this is green Thonar. I have the weird cosmetic... I have the red Thonar's cosmetics on her for whatever reason. HP defense, she's literally just a backliner for Belmoth. I'm not even really sure why I ended up building a set for her in the first place, to be honest. Oh, that's right. I built an attack defense set, and then for the dogs, you actually want to have an attack crit resistance set, so that way she can tank as much as possible because the dogs crit a lot. So this is another one of those weird sets that I have. Normal substats on the regular pieces. Cusack has both sets, actually, because this the blue Cusack is more of a damage dealer, or they're both blue. OG regular Cusack has an attack crit damage set because he just deals a lot of damage. He has a cleave card, so the crit damage ends up just translating into more damage. And then HP defense for the Demon Cusack because he's a backliner, so nothing crazy there. Brunhild has 2 sets. I have an attack crit set on both of them. I thought one of them was an attack defense set, but green Brunhild, which is this one if I'm not mistaken, has crit chance on one roll, and then attack on the other one, because it used to be all crit chance for the bird because you would want to make sure that you could hit during that last phase of floor 1, but things have changed a bit, so she just has 1 crit chance roll. I don't even necessarily know if I need that, but it is kind of helpful to crit in some of the PvE scenarios, so that's kind of cool. And then the other one is literally just a regular set of attack crit damage because this is the one that I use for PvP key on the Ragnarok team, so that's cool. Terry didn't get a set, unfortunately. Iori's really bad, so he didn't get a set. Megilda got attack crit damage because you don't necessarily want to have an HP defense set on a lot of like PvE content. Normally you don't need it really, but because a lot of the times it's just for CC, so she just has something that she can deal a little bit of extra damage with. Scotty has an attack defense set, which is kind of interesting, I guess. I'm pretty sure it's just normal substat rolls. This was kind of just like a halfway thrown together one. I really, really liked Scotty when she came out, and she's really good actually in very like unique situations. But I don't know. I don't really get a whole lot of use out of her. I liked her enough to where I wanted to build a set for her, of course. Originally, I think I was using her in PvP, but she just became more and more useful for PvE scenario stuff. Jormungand has regular rolls on an attack defense set, pretty standard stuff. Shuna has an HP defense set because she's very supporty. Freyr is an attack crit damage set because he has a cleave card, just like Cusack does, so the crit damage ends up getting translated into more damage, of course. Echidna has an attack crit damage set. I would like to have an HP defense set for her, but because there's only one Echidna, I don't really just want to have another set just laying around. And if I want to use her for like farming or any PvE activities, which I don't do, I should probably just end up taking this UR set off and making it an HP defense set. But she does a lot of damage, so it's kind of helpful in that regard. Reinhard is an HP damage scaler, so he has HP set, or an HP crit damage set like Bond does, but he has crit damage, crit chance rolls on his gear because he doesn't use attack at all. Naofumi is a very interesting character because him and Raftalia, which is next, both have a full defense set because they don't use, attack at all. So he actually has pierce rate rolls on his gear. I still don't really know if that was like the best option. I don't know if you would be better off just doing crit chance, crit damage, but the pierce rate rolls actually do really, really well. He hits really hard, so I can't complain. It must be doing something good, so I have it like that. And then I think Raftalia is, half crit damage, half crit chance, because she is mainly a damage dealer, and whereas Naofumi is kind of just a tank. So that's nice. Philo has a regular attack crit damage set because she's just crazy. She's like a turn 1 nuke unit, which is crazy to me. Kizuna is a PvE only unit, so she didn't get crit damage. She just got an attack defense set. Mael is an interesting one. I do have both sets for him, but because there's not two Maels, I have the other one on a Ludo at the moment, just as like a placeholder. Like he's just holding on to it. But I do have an attack crit damage set, and I do have an HP defense set. Honestly, I like the attack crit damage set more on him for mainly all scenarios, but for CC wise, it's kind of nice to just have the HP defense for CC, of course. So attack crit damage set on Freya, nothing crazy here. She's just a nice Ragnarok damage dealer, and then we're back up to Meliodas. So a lot of gear in this game, a lot of time and investment, goes into this account. It's been a really long time playing the game, of course. So obviously, there's a lot of some characters, whereas there's very few of other characters. But you never know what they're going to come out with next. So I ideally would like to have at least an HP defense set UR geared for every single character in the game. So if there are characters that I don't have sets for at all, odds are I'll probably end up making them an HP defense set at some point, just so that way if I do need them for whatever reason, or just for box CC in general, they'll have a really good set of HP defense set gear on them. But a couple of unique ones in there because some characters are a little bit more interesting than others, of course, like with the lifesteal thing on Melascula. But I don't know if you have any questions, I guess, about my gear or certain characters or anything like that, I guess feel free to ask. But other than that, like all of these random characters literally just have like HP defense sets, and some of them have rolls done, some of them don't. It's just for box CC on the ones that I don't have UR gear on. So yeah, that's pretty much it. A lot of gear. Holy, this took a long time. Almost 40 minutes. Jesus Christ. If you made it all the way to the end of this, I applaud you. So, yeah. I guess if you made it to the end, if you're not subscribed or anything, feel free to do that. But, that's it for me. See you guys later.